I'm your host, Allison Ziegler, and you are joining me for today's episode of Princess Interrupted, the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. At the time of this recording, it is officially the first podcast episode we are releasing in the season of fall 2024. What we're going to be discussing today is something that you can choose to embody at any time along your journey. I'm going to be teaching you today how to transform. I've been really thinking about what it takes to actually transform your life and intentionally creating a starting point for yourself and for your transformational journey. One of the reasons I am so passionate about this work is because I believe that if something is not working in your life in the way that it is currently set up, it simply needs to be rearranged. Today's episode is going to be talking about the differences between changing versus transforming, practical tips for what it truly takes to transform your life. And I'm going to be sharing some personal stories and experiences that I have had with transformation and how you can embody this knowledge to step into that version of yourself that you keep dreaming about. And you're dreaming about it because it's possible. Listening to this podcast episode today is your first step to making your desired transformation a reality. So I invite you to celebrate that. This episode is being released on the first of the month. If you're familiar with Allison Ziggy, we make calendars and planners and tools and resources that are designed to help you align your intentions with the calendar and the seasons. And the first of the month is an incredible opportunity to get really clear on who you're actually looking to become in the next 30 days. While I talk about things in a larger seasonal perspective, we are always becoming, and it's up to you to find the period of time that feels the most inspired to you, where you feel like you can truly take those steps towards becoming the best you. I have all kinds of resources in my free printable library that are available for instant download access. There's also meditation and other mindfulness tools, including the Zen and 10 Mindfulness at Your Desk guide. Make sure to download that using the link in the show notes. Without further ado, welcome to Princess Interrupted. I want to thank you so much for your support. Princess Interrupted, it feels so good. This is the third episode back to back that has been released. We're keeping to a weekly cadence this season. And I've also found myself incorporating structure into my book, which is a process that has been taking some time to unfold. My book has been a conscious dream of mine ever since I had my spiritual awakening in 2018. I knew that this story was happening because it was meant to be shared, and I knew that my rock bottom would be the ultimate starting point of the journey of becoming who I've always been meant to be. And it feels so amazing going for my dream. I'm able to share this process with you to help inspire you and encourage you to keep going after the things that are important to you as well. I was a very different person when I started this brand, and beyond that, I was a very different person before Allison Ziggy even existed. I had a job in corporate technology. I wasn't the best at dating. I didn't necessarily pick the most highly aligned suitors. I've committed myself to releasing 10 pages per month of my book. And this is available if you're interested in reading it in the paid version of. And last night I wrote the next 5 pages. I believe it's page 26 to 30. And through writing these pages, I revisited text messages from an old relationship. And this relationship was never particularly significant. It just aligned with the time frame that I was writing about. I wanted to get in the headspace of the version of myself that I was writing about in this story. And I was talking about this new apartment that I just moved into, and I was talking about this relationship. And while it wasn't significant in terms of, it wasn't firework explosive feelings, it wasn't particularly long lived, it was not even a relationship I knew was going to make its way into the book. It was what caused me to start working out, which was where my transformation journey effectively started. And I was writing about this and I was observing the ways that I had changed. And it felt like I was reading text messages that were sent from a completely different human. I'm going to be real with you. In the texts, the guy I was dating in the blog post, I refer to him as Jet. Jet would text me and say, "What are you doing?" And I would just respond like, "I'm high on the couch." It just was such a different way of communicating that I couldn't even imagine now. It was just, I was reading what I was saying and the things that he was saying to me and the way that I was responding and the way that I was showing up and the way that he made it clear he didn't want to be in a relationship, but I just like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Like, I know you like me. That to me was such transformation. To realize that behavior like that wouldn't even register as attractive. To recognize that the way that I was conducting myself, it was like the version of myself I was writing about was so fundamentally different because of the level of healing that I've undergone. And it really ties into what we're talking about today, which is the difference between change and transformation. Change is short-lived. Change is as simple as changing your outfit, changing your environment, changing your relationship. I say changing your relationship because you're often just dating the same kinds of people, changing the details, but when your life still reads like the same Mad Libs scenario. And if you don't know what Mad Libs are, it's where there's a story and there's different blanks and you fill in the blanks with the details or the adjectives, but primarily the structure of the story stays the same. That's change. And change is what happens on a surface level. Change is what happens when you set your alarm 6:30 versus 7. Change is what happens when you finish a book and you start reading another book of basically the same exact genre and title. Change is, oh, I'm scrolling on Instagram less, but I'm using TikTok more. Change is replacing your habits with a lateral habit that's still very much the same. It's resulting in the same energy in your life, and nothing really changes aside from details. And if you're in my world and if you're listening to this and if you were compelled to listen to the title of a podcast talking about how to transform your life, you're not here for change. You're not here to just shift the details slightly. You're here because you're ready to take action and you're ready to become the version of yourself who has a life that is unrecognizable to where you're at currently, especially in these areas of your life where you feel like your life's not reflecting your desires. That's how you can tell if you're in alignment or not. Are your internal desires guiding you and resulting in what you're desiring on the outside? There's always the internal that shifts our external reality, not the other way around. Change is when you make little shifts on the outside, but it doesn't change anything on the inside. When you fundamentally shift on the inside and you decide there is no going back, there is no going back. I couldn't even become that person if I tried. That's when you know that you've transformed. When I was reading those text messages that I was sending to that man 6 years ago, I would never find myself in the same scenarios that I was then, and I would never be in that situation now. And you can argue, okay, that was a long time ago. Isn't that part of maturing? Isn't that just growing? Don't you just grow out of it? You can, but I don't believe that that's truly how you transform. I believe that transformation runs deeper than that, and it's a soul calling to step into this next level version of yourself. And it's deciding that you're done letting your limitations dictate your growth. You're done pretending that you don't get to have the things that you want because you do. You're desiring it because you can do it and you have what it takes. I do not believe that the people who are destined to be in healthy, ultimate, fulfilling relationships are the ones who end up alone. You have the desire because you have the means to make it happen. And the difference is in the becoming of the person who gets to have the desire. And this isn't about becoming good enough. I want to really emphasize that because that's a mistake that I made. I spent so much time and energy believing that I wasn't good enough and that I needed to become a perfect manifester in order to actually receive the things that I wanted. And mainly with manifestation, where I've really studied it pertaining to money and love. And they're the same energy center in your body. Now I really focus on coaching clients, career fulfillment, purpose, and that confidence. Being able to own your desires and own who you are and owning what you want and not being afraid to let it show. And using this season as an opportunity to unapologetically claim who you're here to be. This is some of my practical tips in terms of transformation. If you have not been feeling good about the way that you look, it is time to get a makeover. If you have an outfit where it's like the sweatshirt you always reach for, but it doesn't look good, donate it. If your hair needs to be cut and you don't like the color, get it done. If the headshots that you have for your business or the headshots that you have on your Hinge profile are pictures that you don't really like that much, get new photos taken. This is the face you are showing the world. And when you feel good about yourself, that is half the heavy lifting when it comes to embodied confidence. When you feel good about yourself, you're not taking up energy, questioning yourself. You just radiate. And people want to be around that energy. And when you are more of who you actually are, your desires and opportunities that reflect your desires are just magnetically drawn to you. It is such a magical process. I think about those moments where I'm in the flow. I walk into the coffee shop, my coffee's comped. I either have enough stars to pay for it or there's a promotion. I get my coffee free that day. I'm walking somewhere and I get invited to a pop-up store. I get these amazing opportunities on Instagram, people inviting me to do things. That's when I'm in the flow. When I'm not in the flow, it feels like this drudge. It feels treacherous. It just feels like more of the same. It feels like this tired, heavy energy. You're not here to live like that. You don't need to stay stuck in that space. And the way that you shift it is by taking aligned action, talking about transformation and change. You can change your outfit, change your mind, change your environment, change your relationship. But transformation is deeper because it's a stronger energy and there's no going back to who you were before. This isn't fixed. It's not like this is changed, this is transformation, a list of items. For some people, dyeing their hair is just a change. For me, when I went from blonde to brunette, that was a transformation. The blonde version of me was no longer available. That kind of vibes. Old Allison can't come to the phone right now. That version of me no longer exists. It's not like you dye your hair and that automatically means it's a transformation, but this is personal. Aligning your habits with your intentions has been a game changer for me as well this season. I've committed myself to my journaling practice. There's a lot of things that are out of my control this season. There's a lot of elements in my life that I'm actively changing, I'm actively improving, I'm actively working towards. I've really committed myself to focusing on my energy on the things that I have the ability to change. This has resulted in setting commitments in my business, committing to writing 10 pages per month in my book on my blog, weekly blog posts, 2 paid, 2 free posts, doing weekly podcast episodes, weekly live streams, weekly carousel posts, Instagram reels every day. These are physical, tangible actions that I'm taking towards a goal that are important to me. The other things, working out, journaling every morning. This has made such a difference because it's been just for me. Before I start my day, before I talk to anyone, before I have my coffee, I meditate and I journal and I start reading. And I just fill my brain and I fill my own cup before I even say hello to anyone else, so that I can start my day with intention and purpose, and that whatever happens, I at least know that I carved out space for myself. It is not always easy when your circumstances aren't what you want them to be, but your desires are so much more telling of you as a person than your circumstances will ever be. And it is so important to keep the vision, even when it looks like things are not working. Do not let your brain lie to you. When you keep to your inspired actions, when you keep to those inspired habits, and you just continue to show up for yourself day after day, you will make progress. If you really want to be in a relationship, you've got to believe that the ones that aren't working out are clearing the path for the person who is meant for you, for the person who will make you believe in love again. You've got to believe that if it's not working out with your current friend group, it's because new people are being placed in your life. If it's not working out at your current job, it's because you're being called to do something bigger. And if you were happy, you wouldn't even consider the opportunity that ends up creating an entirely new career for you. Your circumstances aren't punishments, they're opportunities to go deeper and to go bigger. My one ask for you, the one takeaway I hope you get from this episode is just trusting your desires will make your life so much easier. This is something I really wish I would have embodied sooner on my journey. I doubted myself so much when I was first starting my brand. I doubted myself so much in terms of relationships and feeling like all of my friends were married and I was single, and I really felt like there was something wrong with me or like I was going to die alone. And none of those things were true. And assigning meaning to your circumstances is just going to make you feel bad, and it's going to make it harder to manifest the things that you truly want. And that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here to do. This month, this season, take action on the things that are important to you, even if it feels like no one's watching, even if it feels like it's not making a difference. In terms of starting this month and starting this season, I create seasonal manifestation planners that are designed to help you track your progress as we go throughout the month. And the first section of the planners, and I can show you the planner here. The first section of the planners is a reflection section. And my intention behind this is to give you a space to actually look back on the past 3 months and to identify what did go well, what didn't go well. Where did I set goals and I didn't reach them? How do I feel about that? Would I set the same goals now? And this is an opportunity to also appreciate how far you've come, appreciate how things have shifted, to take inventory of the steps that you've taken to become this new version of yourself. And asking, like, did you spend your time in ways that you want to continue to spend your time, or do you want to change it? In the next section, which is the manifestation section, it's all about questions that I even ask my coaching clients about. What are your true manifestations aligned with your path? What are you actually looking to call into your life? And doing goal setting and fun energy and positive affirmations and vision boards and all of these manifestation resources that have personally really transformed my life and where I'm at. There was a period of time in my life for 3 years where I changed, but I didn't transform. The details were different, but not the circumstances. The faces may have been different, but not the relationships. That's not the energy that we're here for. That's exhausting. All that happens is you get older, not wiser, and nothing shifts, and it's still not what you want. And that's not the kind of life that you're destined for. In my planner, I've also included a habit tracking section and a scripting section to just get clear on what's important to you and where you're headed, so that you can look back and just identify, this is where I wanted to be, this is where I'm at now. And continually reevaluating and allowing yourself to go forward, even when it looks like things aren't unfolding. Even if you say you want to make a certain amount of money on October and it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that you're a failure come November. You get to track and pay attention to how much you've shifted in the in-between. For the purposes of the start of the month, these are my personal practices. I sit down and I do financial inventory. I take inventory of how much money I have outgoing this month and what I want to spend. I create essentially a dream budget, really writing down, like, practically and thinking about it in terms of how you want to show up. I look back on certain situations and how I showed up, and I was letting my fear win and lead. For example, when I went on a trip this summer to the Olympics with my sister, she kept asking me about planning and I kept dodging because I didn't know, and I had so much uncertainty and I didn't know what was happening with my business. I didn't know what was happening with my move, and I kept putting it off and I kept being like, I don't know, I don't know. We're going on a trip this month and I don't want to show up that same way. I know how I showed up and it was out of fear. And this time when we go on a trip, I've already budgeted and everything. So I'm actually excited to have those conversations with her. And I'm actually excited to plan this trip, as opposed to hiding behind, I hope that this gets to happen. That's where manifestation meets planning. How can you do some work on the front end so that you can show up as the version of yourself that you actually want to be? And I want to be someone who follows through on my commitments, and actually people look forward to doing things with me. I don't want it to be like, oh, Allison, she's so last minute, I don't want to do things with her, because that's not actually a core truth of how I operate. That was how my fear was causing me to operate. And so where in your life are you letting your fears dictate things that come off as personality traits? Look into that. That's where you can plan. Relationships. So that one that I just touched on, that was a combination of a financial and a relationship. I know I have this. How do I want to show up in the midst of it? Who do I want to be? I want to be someone who can be relied upon. I want to be somebody who actually takes proactive action instead of reactively sitting back and hoping for the best. That's not how we operate anymore. Any moment you can make the conscious choice to start over. Any moment you can reinvent yourself. You can decide that you're done with the narrative of how things are been going, and you can rewrite an entirely new story. I invite you to write a new story this fall. As of October, I have a really, really incredible coaching offer that I am so excited for. This is 3 months of intensive coaching to get you through the end of the year. And it also includes access to a virtual retreat that I'm going to be hosting at the end of the year. This is going to be the best offer that I've ever had in terms of transformation. And this is for you if you're just done settling, you're done doing it all on your own, you're done with the guesswork, you're done dating men who don't appreciate you, you're done pretending that you can't have the life that you want, and you're ready to actually thrive and shine and to surround yourself with people who freaking love you and to work the job that feels like purpose and to just understand and be the full embodiment of you get to have it all. I'm hosting a confidence workshop this month. Make sure to check the link in the show notes for details. This is all about using confidence to get the life, love, and career of your dreams. This is a free workshop that I am so excited to offer this month. And again, if you're looking to work together one-on-one, I am still enrolling spots for my fall coaching programs. I love you so much. I'm so excited for your transformation. I can't wait to see you next week on the podcast. Make sure to message any breakaways, any takeaways, any key things that you took away from this episode. Send me a DM at Allison Ziggy. I love you so much. I am cheering for you. I am rooting you on. Let's do this.